21-year-old guys with 1 year starting experience.
Those are things that help them. That's why it would open up my eyes a little bit more. But
Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like, talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett.
Man, listen, Shedeur is, we talked about it, Earl. He's talented. Like, he has all the talent and the ability you want. He has the leadership qualities you need.
He still broke records that your Pro Bowler and Super Bowl contestants haven't even touched in the NFL level.
Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like, talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has to be light years better.
He's an actual proven talent. He's proven that every single team you put him on, he becomes better.
My expectations have absolutely changed. Absolutely. My expectations have changed because a lot of what we're hearing from Cleveland has changed. Again,
the information that was out on Shedeur Sanders came from a lot of people that a lot of people trust and people think that are credible.
And it's that branding, bro, being a walking business brand. He's a 5th-round pick, and he generated damn near well over $300 million already in merchandise sale.
People are trying to assign from a personality standpoint to Shedeur Sanders, and I think that's incredibly unfair to the young man.
99% of the online scrutiny is because of my dad. And he is exactly right. That's why it was really a mistake.
When we talk about what I saw, no. Let's not be simple.
So I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders, and I'm understanding that that man's cerebral mindset is not only on the field, it's off the field. The networking, the building of the brand, the understanding of, okay, the NFL could reject you at any given time, so leverage is always the key.
I do think he has earned the opportunity because he throws an incredibly good ball, a very catchable ball, and he's just so accurate. His ball placement is excellent. They had a play.
I don't think he's John Elway. I don't think he's Peyton Manning or even Eli. But I think he's the best quarterback they have, and it'll just take him time. And I think he's a good kid.
Shedeur Sanders is 4th on the depth chart, not because he's the 4th most talented, because of where he was drafted. Hence why Shedeur is still yet to get first-team reps.
We're not as good individually, but we're better collectively.
If we're going to base this off talent, he's the most talented one in the room.
And I'm pretty sure I'm going to look it up if that's some type of record. I personally feel that's a record.
Shedeur Sanders, he's going to have to earn that money. I think it's brilliant the way the NFL structures these contracts, especially rookie contracts.
I think we're all trying to figure out and piece together why that happened. But I got no problem with Deion defending his son because we all got kids.
Shedeur seems to overcome every time, no matter how much blitz packages you throw at Shedeur. He's durable. He could take the hits.
But I have said this over and over, and I will repeat it. Dads, stop talking. Nobody cares.
But when it was time for Shedeur to gauge the field and decide to make a quick decision, and he didn't get disrupted through any way of that blitz package, he still stayed sturdy in the pocket.
Everything that needed to happen for him to move up the depth chart has now happened. Guys in front of him have gotten hurt and been ineffective, and he's been steady. So he's made excellent progress. His excellent accuracy has been on display, and he's worked really hard at getting the pre-snap stuff down.
You won't believe what just happened in the NFL. While everyone was distracted by massive quarterback contracts and trade rumors, a 21-year-old 5th-round pick just pulled off the most brilliant financial heist in league history. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sign a contract. He rewrote the entire playbook on how rookies can outsmart billion-dollar franchises. And the craziest part? He's making more money than Pro Bowl quarterbacks without throwing a single NFL touchdown. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how he flipped the league's power structure upside down and why every rookie is now calling their agent asking for the prime equity clause. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about a revolution that's about to change professional sports forever. What I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about NFL contracts. Everyone assumed Shedeur Sanders signed some massive extension because the numbers didn't add up. How does a rookie with a basic 4-year deal suddenly generate $250 million in jersey sales and pocket $14 million in commission? The truth is even wilder than the headline suggested. Today, I'm breaking down the 3 game-changing strategies Shedeur used to destroy the traditional NFL contract model, why front offices are scrambling to contain this blueprint, and what this means for the future of professional athletics. Trust me, by the time we're done, you'll see why this 5th-round pick just became the smartest businessman in the league. Here's where Shedeur Sanders completely shattered everything we thought we knew about rookie contracts. While most players sign away their name, image, and likeness rights for peanuts, Shedeur did something no rookie has ever pulled off before. He kept ownership of himself. Let me paint you the picture of how this typically works. When you're drafted into the NFL, you're essentially signing your identity over to the league. Your highlights, NFL property. Your jersey sales, the team gets the lion's share. Your social media content from team facilities, better check that contract. It's a system designed to keep players dependent on their salaries while the league profits from their personalities. But Shedeur Sanders walked into that negotiation room with a completely different mindset. Instead of just accepting the standard 5th-round deal, 4 years, for $0.65 million with only $447,000 guaranteed, he buried something revolutionary in the fine print. Something his agent and Coach Prime strategically crafted called the Prime Equity Clause. This clause flipped the script entirely. While other rookies were fighting for slightly better signing bonuses, Shedeur negotiated for 20% of everything tied to his brand. Not just jersey sales, everything. Sponsorship deals, appearances, digital content, merchandise, even licensing agreements. If someone profits off the Shedeur Sanders name, Shedeur Sanders gets his cut. Think about how insane this is. Most NFL players spend their entire careers trying to build enough leverage to negotiate better deals. They wait for Pro Bowl selections, playoff appearances, or MVP campaigns to justify asking for more money. Shedeur bypassed all of that. He said, "I don't need to prove myself on the field to own my value off it." The genius of this approach is that it's not tied to performance metrics. Traditional incentives depend on yards, touchdowns, wins, or team success. But the Prime Equity Clause is tied to who he is, not what he does. He gets paid just for being Shedeur Sanders. That's not a salary, that's ownership. And here's what makes it even more brilliant. This clause grows with his popularity. The more famous he becomes, the more valuable his brand gets, the more money flows directly into his pocket. It's a compound interest model applied to athlete branding. While other players are locked into fixed contracts, Shedeur's earning potential is literally unlimited. The NFL didn't see this coming because they've never had to deal with a rookie who understood business at this level. Most 21-year-olds are just happy to make the team. Shedeur walked in understanding that his name was already worth millions, and he wasn't about to give that away for a standard rookie deal. This is why front offices are sweating. Because it's not just about one guy making bank, it's about a model that every future rookie is going to want to copy. Shedeur just proved that you don't need to be a first-round pick to have first-round leverage. You just need to own yourself. Now let's talk about the numbers that had everyone's jaws on the floor. $250 million in jersey sales. That's not a typo, and it's not over multiple seasons. We're talking about merchandise revenue that most veteran superstars would kill for, generated by a rookie who hasn't even started a game yet. But here's what makes this absolutely mind-blowing. $14 million of that went straight into Shedeur's pocket. Not as a bonus tucked away in some contract clause, not as an advance against future earnings, as pure commission. Clean, player-owned money that the NFL couldn't touch. To put this in perspective, let me break down how revolutionary this is. The average NFL jersey sells for about $100. That means we're looking at roughly 2.5 million Shedeur Sanders jerseys sold. For a fifth-round pick. Before his first NFL snap. That's not just impressive, that's unprecedented in league history. Most NFL players get a tiny percentage of their merchandise sales, if anything at all. The standard model gives players maybe 2 to 3% of jersey revenue, and that's if they're lucky. Shedeur negotiated 20%. While other rookies are getting a few $1,000s from their jersey sales, he's pulling in millions. But the merchandise explosion goes way beyond jerseys. We're talking about a full brand ecosystem. Shedeur Sanders branded everything: hoodies, hats, cleats, training gear, even custom Colorado Buffaloes throwback items that technically aren't NFL merchandise but still generate revenue under his brand umbrella. The social media component amplified everything exponentially. Every Instagram post, every TikTok video, every behind-the-scenes content piece drove more merchandise sales. And because of that prime equity clause, every single sale put money directly in his bank account. What's even crazier is how this created a feedback loop. The more merchandise sold, the more famous he became. The more famous he became, the more merchandise sold. It's a self-perpetuating money machine that most athletes never figure out how to build. And here's the part that's keeping NFL executives up at night. This model is completely scalable. If Shedeur Sanders can generate $250 million in merchandise sales as a fifth-round rookie, what happens when first-round picks start demanding the same deal structure? What happens when established stars realize they've been leaving millions on the table? The traditional NFL business model depends on controlling player earning potential. Teams budget for salaries, bonuses, and incentives. But they never budgeted for players who could generate massive revenue streams completely outside the salary cap structure. Shedeur didn't just sell merchandise, he proved that modern athletes can be walking businesses. He showed that with the right strategy, a player's brand value can exceed their on-field value before they even step on the field. This merchandise empire isn't just about money. It's about power. It's about showing that players don't have to wait for the league's permission to build wealth. They can create their own revenue streams, control their own narratives, and build financial independence that no team can take away. But wait, it gets even more insane. While everyone was focused on the merchandise numbers, Shedeur was quietly building something that threatens the very foundation of how the NFL controls information, his own media empire. Think about this for a second. We're used to the league owning everything. Your highlight reels? NFL property. Your locker room interviews? League controlled. Your training camp footage? Better check your contract. But Shedeur flipped this entire model by maintaining complete ownership of his digital presence. He owns his YouTube channel, his social media accounts, his content creation, all of it. You want behind-the-scenes training camp footage? He'll drop it on his channel before ESPN even knows it exists. A documentary series on navigating the NFL as a rookie? He can fund, shoot, and upload it without asking anyone's permission. This is where the Coach Prime influence becomes crystal clear. Deion Sanders was building personal brands before social media even existed. Gold chains, dual sport dominance, unforgettable interviews. Prime time was the moment before we had memes. He understood that personality could be more valuable than performance, and he passed that blueprint directly to his son. But Shedeur took it to the next level. He trademarked Shedeur Sanders. That means when he goes viral, it's his bag, not someone else's. When his content gets shared, reposted, or referenced, he controls the narrative and captures the value. The strategic genius here is that this media empire compounds everything else. Every piece of content drives merchandise sales. Every viral moment increases his brand value. Every behind-the-scenes video makes fans more invested in his journey. It's a 360-degree business model that most professional athletes never even attempt. And here's what's really keeping NFL front offices awake at night. This blueprint is completely replicable. Shedeur just proved that any rookie with the right strategy can walk into the league and immediately start building wealth outside the traditional contract structure. Imagine if this spreads. What happens when other high-profile rookies start demanding prime equity clauses? When they insist on maintaining ownership of their digital presence? When they negotiate deals that let them profit from every aspect of their personal brand? The league can't just say no to everyone, especially when the fans are clearly buying in. $250 million in merchandise sales proves that people aren't just supporting a player, they're investing in a movement. They're buying into a story about ownership, power, and rewriting the system. This media empire strategy also provides something most NFL careers lack: longevity. Playing careers end, but brands can last forever. Shedeur is building something that will generate revenue long after his last touchdown pass. The NFL is scrambling because they realize they're not just dealing with a talented quarterback, they're dealing with a business mogul who happens to play football. And that changes everything about how they'll have to approach future negotiations. So here's what just happened. Shedeur Sanders didn't sign the biggest contract in NFL history. He did something scarier. He made a small contract and turned it into a blueprint to beat the system. He proved that a fifth-round rookie can out-earn Pro Bowl veterans without throwing a single NFL touchdown. He showed that ownership beats salary every single time. The prime equity clause, the merchandise empire, the media ownership, this isn't just about one player getting paid. This is about a fundamental shift in power from billion-dollar franchises back to the athletes who make the game worth watching. Every rookie watching this is calling their agent right now asking, "Where's my prime equity clause?" The NFL will try to push back with new policies and restrictions, but the door is already open. Shedeur Sanders just proved that you don't need the league's permission to build wealth. You just need to own yourself. But here's where this story gets absolutely wild, and why every NFL executive is probably having emergency meetings right now. What Shedeur Sanders just pulled off isn't just a one-time financial win. It's a complete paradigm shift that's about to send shockwaves through every level of professional sports. Let me break down what's really happening here. For decades, the NFL has operated on a simple principle: control the supply, control the price. They control when players get paid, how much they get paid, and what they can do with their earning potential. The salary cap, rookie wage scale, franchise tags, it's all designed to keep power in the hands of owners and front offices. Shedeur just proved that system has a massive blind spot. While the league was busy controlling salaries, they completely ignored the brand economy. And now that one rookie has figured out how to exploit it, there's no putting this genie back in the bottle. Think about the domino effect this creates. Right now, there are probably dozens of college prospects watching this and thinking, "Why would I sign away my brand rights for a standard rookie deal?" Their agents are already strategizing how to incorporate equity clauses into future negotiations. Sports marketing companies are scrambling to understand how they missed this opportunity. But it goes deeper than just contract negotiations. This model fundamentally changes the relationship between players and teams. Traditionally, teams held all the leverage because they controlled the player's primary income source. But when a player can generate millions through their personal brand, suddenly they're not as dependent on team approval for everything. Imagine a scenario where Shedeur's brand becomes so valuable that he's making more from his equity clause than his actual salary. At that point, what leverage does the team really have? They can't threaten his primary income source because he owns it. They can't control his narrative because he controls his media. They can't even limit his earning potential because his brand value operates independently of his on-field performance. This is why I keep saying Shedeur didn't just sign a contract, he declared independence. And once other players see this blueprint working, they're going to want their own independence too. The college recruiting implications are staggering. Why would a top high school prospect choose a program that doesn't help them build their brand? Why would they work with coaches who don't understand the business side of athletics? The programs that adapt to this new reality will have a massive advantage in recruiting. And here's the kicker, this model isn't limited to football. Basketball players, baseball prospects, even Olympic athletes are watching this and thinking about how they can apply these principles to their own careers. Shedeur Sanders might have just revolutionized all of professional sports without even realizing it. The NFL is about to learn a hard lesson. You can control contracts, but you can't control culture. And the culture just shifted toward player empowerment in a way that's going to be impossible to reverse. Now let's talk about the mastermind behind this entire operation, because none of this happens without Coach Prime's influence. Deion Sanders didn't just teach his son how to play quarterback, he taught him how to think like a CEO. This goes way deeper than just football advice. Deion Sanders built one of the most recognizable personal brands in sports history during an era when social media didn't even exist. He understood something that most athletes never figure out. Your personality can be more valuable than your performance, and your brand can outlast your career. But here's what makes the Coach Prime influence so brilliant. He didn't just pass down the concept of personal branding. He passed down a complete business philosophy. Every decision Shedeur has made, from choosing Jackson State to transferring to Colorado, has been strategically designed to build brand equity and market value. Think about the Jackson State move. Most people saw it as a feel-good story about a father coaching his son. But from a business perspective, it was genius. Shedeur got to be the star player on a team that was getting unprecedented media attention. Every game was a showcase. Every interview was brand building. Every highlight reel was content creation. Then the Colorado transfer amplified everything. Suddenly, Shedeur wasn't just playing for an HBCU, he was the quarterback leading a Power 5 program's resurrection. The media coverage exploded. The merchandise opportunities multiplied. The brand value skyrocketed. And through it all, Coach Prime was teaching lessons that go far beyond football. How to handle media interviews to maximize brand impact. How to leverage social media to build authentic connections with fans. How to think strategically about every public appearance and partnership opportunity. But here's the most important lesson Deion passed down, the concept of generational wealth. This isn't just about Shedeur making money during his playing career. This is about building a business empire that can support his family for generations. The Prime Equity Clause isn't just a contract innovation, it's a wealth-building strategy. Every dollar Shedeur makes from his brand today can be reinvested into other business ventures. Real estate, technology startups, media companies, fashion brands, the possibilities are endless when you have that kind of capital and business acumen. And Coach Prime is teaching him to think beyond just his own career. How do you build a brand that can be passed down? How do you create business relationships that benefit your entire family? How do you use your platform to create opportunities for others? This is why other NFL families are probably having some serious conversations right now. Parents are looking at what the Sanders family accomplished and wondering why they didn't think of this first. Agents are studying this model and trying to figure out how to replicate it for their other clients. The Coach Prime factor isn't just about one father helping his son succeed. It's about a complete reimagining of how athletic families can build and transfer wealth. And that's a lesson that's going to influence sports for decades to come. But don't think for a second that the NFL is just going to sit back and watch their entire business model get disrupted by a 21-year-old rookie. Right now, there are probably emergency meetings happening in every front office, with lawyers and executives trying to figure out how to contain this revolution before it spreads. Here's what's really terrifying them. If this model becomes standard, it completely destroys their ability to control player costs. The salary cap exists for a reason. It keeps team expenses predictable and prevents any one franchise from buying all the talent. But the Prime Equity Clause operates completely outside the salary cap structure. Imagine if every first-round pick starts demanding equity clauses. Suddenly, teams aren't just competing with guaranteed money and signing bonuses, they're competing with brand ownership percentages and revenue-sharing agreements. The entire draft strategy gets turned upside down. So how will the league fight back? Expect to see some serious policy changes in the next collective bargaining agreement. They'll probably try to limit or eliminate equity clauses entirely. They might create new restrictions on player-owned media content. They could even attempt to expand the definition of what constitutes team-controlled intellectual property. But here's the problem with that approach. The fans are already bought in. $250 million in merchandise sales proves that people want to support players who own their brands. If the NFL tries to crack down too hard, they risk alienating the very fan base that drives their revenue. There's also the legal challenge. Shedeur's contract was negotiated in good faith under current league rules. Any attempt to retroactively limit his earning potential could result in massive lawsuits. And if the players' union gets involved, this could become a major labor dispute. The smarter teams are probably already adapting. Instead of fighting the trend, they're figuring out how to work with it. Maybe they start offering better brand development resources to their players. Maybe they create partnership opportunities that benefit both the team and the player's personal brand. But the old school franchises that are used to controlling everything? They're in for a rude awakening. Because the next generation of athletes is watching what Shedeur accomplished, and they're not going to accept the traditional shut up and play mentality. The league might try to frame this as players being greedy or selfish. But that narrative won't work when fans can see the value these players are creating. When someone generates $250 million in revenue, asking for $14 million doesn't seem unreasonable. It seems like basic business sense. The real panic isn't just about money, it's about control. For decades, the NFL has been able to dictate terms to players because they controlled the only path to professional football success. But Shedeur just proved that players can create their own path to wealth and influence. And once that door is open, there's no closing it. The industry is about to learn that evolution isn't optional, it's inevitable. So where does this all lead? Because what we're witnessing isn't just about one contract or one player, we're seeing the birth of an entirely new model for how professional athletes can build wealth and control their careers. The immediate impact is already happening. College prospects are having different conversations with their families and advisors. Instead of just focusing on which school offers the best path to the NFL, they're asking which programs will help them build their personal brands. Which coaches understand the business side of athletics? Which schools have the media infrastructure to support content creation? High school athletes are starting to think like entrepreneurs before they even graduate. They're building social media followings, creating content, and developing personal brands years before they turn professional. The Shedeur Sanders model just showed them that all that work can translate into real financial power. But the ripple effects go far beyond football. Basketball players are looking at this and wondering why they can't negotiate similar equity clauses. Baseball prospects are asking about merchandise revenue sharing. Even Olympic athletes are exploring how they can maintain ownership of their personal brands while competing at the highest levels. The sports marketing industry is scrambling to adapt. Traditional endorsement deals might become obsolete if athletes can generate more revenue through their own brand ownership. Marketing agencies will need to evolve from just securing deals to actually helping athletes build and manage their own business empires. Technology is going to play a huge role in this evolution. NFTs, cryptocurrency, direct-to-consumer platforms, all of these tools give athletes new ways to monetize their brands without going through traditional gatekeepers. Shedeur's success proves there's massive demand for athlete-owned content and products. The media landscape is shifting too. Why would a star athlete give exclusive interviews to ESPN when they can build their own media platform and keep all the revenue? Why would they participate in league-controlled content when they can create their own documentaries and series? But here's what I think is the most significant long-term impact. This model creates true financial independence for athletes. For too long, professional sports has operated on a system where players are completely dependent on their teams and leagues for income. One injury, one bad season, one front office decision could end their earning potential. The Shedeur Sanders model changes that equation. When your brand value operates independently of your on-field performance, you have real security. When you own your content and merchandise rights, you have multiple revenue streams. When you control your narrative, you have power. This is about more than just money. It's about dignity and respect. It's about athletes being treated as business partners rather than just employees. It's about recognizing that the value these players create extends far beyond what happens between the lines. The future of sports business is going to be defined by ownership, not just salaries. And Shedeur Sanders just wrote the playbook for how to make that transition. The revolution has already started, and there's no going back. Shedeur Sanders didn't just change his own career trajectory, he changed the entire game for every athlete who comes after him. The question isn't whether this model will spread, it's how quickly other players will adapt it and how the leagues will respond. What do you think happens next? Will we see more rookies demanding equity clauses, or will the NFL find ways to shut this down? Are you rooting for player empowerment, or do you think this disrupts the competitive balance of the league? Drop your predictions in the comments. I want to hear your take on where this revolution leads. And if you found this breakdown valuable, smash that like button and subscribe because I'll be following this story as it develops. Next week, I'm diving into which current college prospects are most likely to copy the Shedeur Sanders model, and you won't believe some of the names on that list. The game has changed forever. The only question is, are you ready for what comes next?